In this video segment, graduate student Alex Lyon talks about their broccoli and squash on-farm trialing networks.
And also Institute for Environmental Studies. And this spring I started working with Erin on the Novik variety trials. There's actually two handouts going around right now. One is about the Novik project, and then another one, which has some charts on it, that has a list of the varieties we're using for each crop, where our seeds came from. And then on the back it has our planting dates and the data that we're going to be collecting about each crop. So for these variety trials, we're using a mother-daughter trial design, which means that we are pairing larger experiments in this more controlled environment with on-farm trials. So here at West Madison, we have a randomized complete block design, and for each crop we have 3 replications of all the varieties. And then on our on-farm network, we have 9 farm sites, and each of those represents 1 replication. And they're not all growing all of the crops. I think each crop is on about 5 different farms. So those farms that we have represent a really diverse range of farm sizes, from under 2 acres all the way up to 70 acres. And they are spread across Vernon County, La Crosse County, Dane, Sauk, Columbia, Greene, and Rock counties. So they're kind of all over the southwestern part of the state. And there's one as far north as near the Twin Cities in Minnesota. So we have kind of a range of areas and climates. And then all of them have some sort of marketing through community-supported agriculture. And then they also, some of them sell to farmers markets and at grocery stores, and some sell wholesale as well. So we have a range of marketing strategies. So our on-farm replications are planted by the farmers. We've gone out there as much as we can to help with the planting, especially as the trials got started. But then the crops are managed by the farmers in the way that they would normally manage that crop, whereas here at West Madison we have a little bit of a more standardized protocol that's being used across all those different research collaborators that Erin mentioned, so New York and Oregon and Washington and here. So the crops are managed by the farmers, and then we have been coming out to do the data collection, and we're experimenting a little bit with having the farmers do some of the data collection, and that's something we're going to continue to work on as this project progresses. Now, Erin has talked a little bit about each of the crops and our overall objectives of pushing them a little bit into different market windows. We also, I just want to go over a few more details about them. With the broccoli, we harvested last week, so you're not going to see it here, but it's hard to say any conclusions already about what we've harvested, but there was definitely a lot of variability, especially in the breeder populations, which is something that we expected. And then with the squash, which you'll see up there, we originally direct seeded it in, I think the planting date there is in June or late May.
Yeah, late May.
And unfortunately, with our original direct seeding, we had extremely low emergence and almost no emergence to some varieties. So we replanted it in the greenhouse, and then we transplanted it again to the field at the beginning of July. So it was a late transplant, and we're not sure if we're going to get a crop this year. Hopefully we will.
We're hoping to at least be able to evaluate some of the disease resistance, even though we didn't get a crop. And oftentimes people ask me, why don't growers direct seed? Well, at least in our experience, I can see why. And whether it was a critter eating it, whether it was the wet soil conditions this year, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but we had to go to Plan B.
So we'll be getting more of that harvest data next year, but at least we'll be able to look at some of the disease resistance. So that's just why our plants are so small right now. So I want to talk a little bit about the benefits and the challenges that we've experienced with this on-farm trialing network. The benefits are observing the variety performance on working organic farms rather than just at this more controlled environment. So we really have an idea of how they perform in these different environments and with the different ways that farmers grow the crop, and if it's consistent performance across all of those different situations. And then another advantage, something that we want to do, is empower farmers with an understanding of research methods and being able to do their own research about varieties. And then especially for organic varieties, giving farmers that experience with the varieties that are available and with some of these breeder varieties and hearing their feedback about the varieties that we're working on. There's a real need for breeding new varieties and understanding how existing varieties work in organic systems. So we think that farmer-led research is really key to success in that. However, the challenge is that, well, we were expecting challenges in just the variation from farm to farm. But we're finding that there's also a challenge with these crops such as broccoli and sweet corn where there's a long harvest window. Getting to, just logistically getting to these different locations to get crops at their peak maturity is really difficult. So that's leading us to try to figure out this balance between how much time can researchers spend going out to farms and collecting data, and how much can we realistically ask farmers to do in the middle of a busy season. So as we continue with this project, and I'd be interested to talk to people here about this today, about that balance between farmer time and researcher time, and also between giving farmers the skills on their own and then and us doing it. Do you want me to talk about the transplant right now also, or about the transplant trial right now also?
Let's walk through this section.
Okay.
Just another quick comment before I give this to Adrian to talk more about the breeding aspect of the project. We do have an outreach component of this project, and as the project progresses, this is the first year of a 4-year project. There'll be a web presence of this project where you and growers throughout focusing on the northern part of the country will be able to see the results of these variety trials, both the on-farm and the research station components. And we also hope to have an interactive aspect of the website too, where growers can enter in their observations of how these varieties are performing on their farms. So there'll be some delineation of what is data that we've collected versus what is going to be data that's inputted by other farmers that might not be directly involved in the project but still might have experience with those particular varieties, to hopefully capture the widest range of information possible, the widest ranges of experience, and get this information readily available to organic growers.